Top 5 Hardest SoulsBorne Games to 100% Complete. Sekiro, Shadow, Die Twice introduces one of the hardest and most different combat from the other SoulsBorne games. The game has a posture-based combat system where the player has to constantly attack the enemy to break their posture, leading to the enemy being staggered and losing a life bar. The gameplay revolves around parrying every attack to avoid taking damage as well as damaging the enemy's posture bar. The base game has a lot of difficult boss encounters as well as 2 endings that the player must achieve. Aside from this, the game also features gauntlets of strength. These are challenges that require the player to face off against multiple bosses one after the other. The bosses in these gauntlets are also slightly different from the base game, as some of them have additional attacks. Dying in the gauntlet means the player will have to restart the challenge. These gauntlets have rewards such as outfits that the player can acquire once they complete them. After completing the base game, there is also a bit of a grind to acquire all of the skills from the skill tree, which can take some time. This grind and the gauntlets alone make Sekiro, Shadows, Die Twice a must on this list. Demon's Souls is a SoulsBorne game that features the World Tendency system. Players can have their tendency to shift towards white or black, which is based on what actions they perform. To aim for 100% completion, players must make use of this tendency system in different areas to unlock potential quest lines, as well as encountering different enemies or creatures. The game has multiple worlds, and each world has its own tendency. Aside from the tendency system, there are multiple endings in the game as well as NPC quest lines that will require multiple playthroughs to complete. Some of the quest lines in the game require the player to find and interact with a lot of the other NPCs, and failing to do one step can change the outcome of the quest lines, altering the rewards. Demon's Souls is filled with hidden areas and paths that the player must explore at their own pace to discover rare loot. Dark Souls. One was the first installment in the Dark Souls series and probably FromSoftware's best game out of the bunch. Similar to the other Dark Souls games, Dark Souls 1 is also considered a tough endeavor to 100% purely because of the boundless collectibles one has to acquire. Not only this, but the player is required to reinforce their weapon to acquire the best quality weapons of different status effects. This requires an ample amount of time to acquire the resources needed for crafting. Even acquiring miracles, sorceries, and pyromancies can be an easy task when looking at the rare weapons trophy requirement in the game. This basically forces the player to play multiple playthroughs, and not only that, but farm countless hours for these weapons to drop from the respective enemies. Bloodborne. Aside from the relentless boss encounters and harsh environments of the game, what makes Bloodborne a hard game to 100% is the Chalice dungeons that the game introduces. These Chalice's dungeons are randomly generated areas that are filled with unique enemies and multiple bosses at the end of each floor. These chalices are the main hubs of extremely good rewards such as high-level blood gems that the player can put in their primary weapons. Bloodborne has countless chalice dungeons, and if the player wants to go for the 100%, then completing all the dungeons is a must. Some of the latter chalices are cursed, which reduces the player's health bar by half and provides much harder areas to navigate. Fighting the new and unique bosses in the chalices with half or less than half a health bar means taking a single hit will restart the encounter. Dark Souls 3 is one of the harder games to 100% because of the cryptic quest lines that have strict requirements, as well as acquiring items that are rare and hard to find. Many NPCs in the game require players to do quests for them in a specific order, and sometimes progressing further into the story and defeating a boss can end the quest lines for that playthrough. Dark Souls 3 takes the grinding element and pushes it to the max. The game includes Covenant items that one must find and offer to the Covenant to acquire all sorceries, miracles, and more. Acquiring these Covenant items requires the player to complete successful PvP invasions or defeat a single enemy several hundred times for them to drop the item. There are multiple Covenants, and grinding for 30 items for each Covenant can take up to 20 to 40 hours, depending on the player's luck. So, we have shared with you top 5 hardest Soulsborne games to 100% complete. Hope they will be useful to you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.